Good morning. We are live. Trump takes a whooping in New York. Bob Woodward won his case against Donald Trump. Let's dig into it. Let's just dive right in. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, Trump took a whooping. Before we get into that, I just want to say thank you. Look, I'm not a hypocrite. When I tell you get involved with the local Democratic Party, get involved in local politics, it's what's important. I don't talk the talk or walk the walk. Last night, we were out. We had dinner. I was fortunate enough to have dinner with several of the local county chairs and precinct chairs. I got to sit down and talk with. We've got a great candidate in Clayton Tucker, who is taking on, Sid Miller, who's always up, and instead of being here in Texas, taking care of Texas as our agricultural, our ag commissioner. He's always sucking up to Ted Cruz in D.C., posting pictures of himself, trying to get a couple minutes into, to service Trump's taint. The guy doesn't represent Texas because, the Trump administration has told us states are on their own. States are on their own. We're not, no more federal daddy here to help you out. That's the new way government runs. So what the hell is our agricultural commissioner doing in D.C.? It's not to benefit us. It's to benefit him. It's to benefit him and his political career. He's up there glad handing. He thinks he's going to run for, Senate someday or, run for governor someday. This bullshit. It's just bullshit. So we've got a candidate by the name of Clayton Tucker. I should have had his website up. You can find him on any social media platform that you happen to be on. He's under Clayton Tucker Texas, Clayton Tucker TX, whatever platform you're on. It's Clayton Tucker TX. Rancher, educator. Is going to be a good candidate. He really is young. He is young. He's going to be a good candidate for Texas. He is. And it was my pleasure to sit down and listen to him speak yesterday, listen to some of his ideas, what he's got planned for Texas. And it's refreshing, I will tell you, to hear somebody that is actually focused on Texas, unlike the Republicans who are always, all they care about is servicing their cult, servicing Trump's taint. That's it. That's all they do here. It is so refreshing to have a candidate that's running that's like, hey, you know what? Texas farmers and ranchers, we need to be worried about them. So anyways, yeah, that's what I was doing last night. I got back to the house about 9:30. I was beat, man. These people know how to have a good time. And I just wanted to appreciate you for having me there and all the hard work that you do. I show up, I talk to people, I get people motivated, I do my show, I do my work. But when it's where the rubber meets the road, as far as the politics are concerned, these people that I was sitting down last night, these are the people that are the movers and the shakers. These are the people that are getting done. And you have people in your area exactly like that. Exactly like that. And I just want to touch on one more thing before we move on to the important stuff that we want to talk about in the show. I got another email from somebody that said, Paul, you asked me to get involved with my local Democratic Party. And I went down there and, we're a rural party and it looks like nobody's actually been there. I couldn't get a hold of nobody. And it looks like nobody's actually been there since Reagan. Yeah, that happens. That's the whole point. That's what we're doing here. No more of that. If you try to get in touch with your local right now, what's going on with your local party? Okay, is networking and communicating, building their communication list. They'll have a supper every once in a while and about a monthly meeting because we are a ways away from the midterms. There isn't a lot of activity within the party. There's some strategizing and those kinds of meetings right now. So when you call and contact, they're going to take your information. They're going to start emailing you when those meetings are. That's how it's going to work. That's how when you first get involved. That's how it's going to work. You're going to come and go to the meetings, and that's when you start interjecting your energy. That's when you start interjecting your ideas. I'm telling you, these county chairs got together and we were talking about, I'm talking about starting something called, I'm getting ahead of myself here, starting something called the Armada Initiative. It's to take, you have large parties, say Smith County around here, that's Tyler, Texas. They're the big dogs around here as far as the Democratic Party is concerned. And then there are a bunch of satellite counties around there that don't have the resources and the manpower, and there just aren't that many people. These are fairly rural counties. So I'm talking about starting an initiative where these satellite counties and these major parties, counties with major representation within the party with the resources, they all work together in concert instead of each one trying to reinvent the wheel. And we had Terry out of Rusk County says, hey, we've got this email system that is just amazing. And they started talking back and forth. And even some of the major counties didn't have a system this efficient. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that's coming out of these meetings, folks. I don't mean to beat a horse, beat this horse to death, but it is incredibly important. More importantly is if you get involved and your party is just dead as a doornail, that's where we need you most. That's where we need you most. And if you cannot get in, you call your state party. You call the major, the next county over. If it's going to be in a small rural county, if you run into that, there is a larger county near you. Call them and say, hey, look, I'm having a hard time getting a hold of these people. They'll know who runs things there and they will make it happen. But anyways, I just wanted to leave that there. This is part of what we're doing. The Armada Initiative is the newest thing on my plate, is to get these counties working together in concert so not everybody's trying to reinvent the wheel and we don't have these small rural counties that have limited people and limited, because if you go to a meeting, would you rather go to a meeting with like 10 people from Bucks to Cahuta, or would you rather go to a meeting that has 80 people that are fired up and excited and, just all of that energy and those ideas? You see what I'm saying there? Anyways, it's in its infancy. We're making it happen. We are doing things for the midterms, folks, not just running our mouths. BNJH MP6LK, thank you for being here. New donor, glad to see you. Glad to see you here, man. I appreciate it. $20 is a lot of money. Thank you for supporting the show. Cannot do it without you. McBastian, sometimes it's like pulling teeth. Stay focused. Don't be discouraged. Even here in Pennsylvania, state cap, it's kind of like that. It is. And we need your energy, folks. We need your energy. You ain't never been to Bucks to Cahuta? All right, folks, let's get into it. Let's get into it. Thanks for being patient with me. Let's get into it. Hit that like button and subscribe button while I slurp up some coffee and get my voice ready to go. All righty then. This just happened. And this is what I want to talk about, folks. This is important. It's important in and of itself, but it is part of a bigger picture. It is part of a bigger picture. Trump filed a $50 million lawsuit against Bob Woodward a while back. And what his claim was that he wasn't the subject of these books, he was the co author of these books. Therefore, he had copyright privileges, hence control of what was done. And he did not agree to two books. Remember, this has been a series, and the one he objected to was Rage, Bob Woodward's book Rage. It was a very unflattering picture of Donald Trump and his handling of COVID. It talked about he actually printed the love letters from Kim Jong-un in North Korea, and most of the stuff that really pissed us off in Trump's first term. Bob Woodward just laid it out there with background information and talked about just basically how unfit Trump was. Just how unfit Trump was. And Trump did what Trump does. He's going to try to bully. He went and filed a $50 million lawsuit against Simon and Schuster and against Bob Woodward. And here's the thing. There's a play here, and this is what I was going to talk about, the big picture of this. Trump intention here, he had no legal claim to what he pulled this out of his ass is what he did. And that's why it got bounced. And the judge was very clear about this when he bounced it. When he dismissed this case, he says, you have shown nothing, no contract, no arrangement, no conversations, no call records, no nothing to claim that you were a co-author, that you had any copyright privileges at all. So yeah, it's dismissed. He's got till August 8th, I believe, to actually come up with something, but he can't. If he'd been able to come up with it, he would have come up with it the first time around. This was just a nuisance trying to do what Trump does. He tries to force people into a settlement, and then when they settle, he claims victory. That's his MO. That's his MO. Now, by the time when he does lose, like this case, most people don't even remember the book Rage. They don't. I mean, and I don't know how many of you bought it. Here, let me pull it up for you, so you can just try to jog your memory. Most people don't even remember the book, and the revelations in it weren't aren't really relevant to today that much. They just aren't. But this was Rage. So this is his MO. If he loses, well, it's just not that relevant to today. The news cycle isn't going to pick it up and run with it. But if he can force a settlement, and a lot of these corporations will, just to stop their legal costs and move on, he claims victory. I won. Marcia Clapper, thanks for always being here. Foundational member of the show. Always here. Fellow Texan. Oops, late to the party. Old age done caught up with me. Don't feel bad. I was almost late to the party. It's my party. E.T., my man, always here, brother. I've gotten involved, but many areas are still waiting until just before an election to get ramped up, which is not good because too many people are asking, what are the Dems doing? To them, nothing, not good for Dems. Man, I'm telling you, they are. But if you're a newbie that's just getting involved, no, they're not going to bring you into the meetings that I attend. That's not going to happen. But you can get to the same dinner that I was at. You're following me? You've got to get in. You've got to get in. The first thing that's going to happen is they're going to take your name and your contact information. Then you're going to start getting emails, and those emails are going to be like, okay, attend this. Then you attend. Then they put a name to a face, and they know, hey, I'm here. I mean, because these are no bullshit people. I'm telling you, these parties, these are no bullshit people. These are where the rubber meets the road. They're doing shit. So they don't have time for somebody that's just got a wild hair from social media that wanted to get involved that isn't really going to be doing anything. No, they need movers and shakers, people that are disciplined enough to get signatures. That's one of the things we did last night for Clayton Tucker. He needs 5,000 signatures, folks, or it's going to cost him $5,000. We're getting shit done. So yeah, when you first get involved, it may not seem that exciting, but you've got to get in the door. You've got to start participating in the meetings, and that's when you start getting it done. GR Gang, thanks for being here. Thanks for the support. I appreciate you. Spicy Jester, a longtime foundation member. Happy Sunday, Texas Paul. What's so disheartening to me is you would think that having a pedophile for president would be enough for this county to revolt, and yet here we are. Man, you got to understand, it's all a process. The protests are important. Every bit of it is a facet of it. What I'm talking about trying to get you involved in is the election portion of it, because it's really easy to get people involved in the protesting, and it's really hard to get people involved in the minutia, the day-to-day, the actual working of campaigns, because this isn't sexy. Like ET was saying, hey, they ain't doing nothing. Well, they are. It's just not social media shit. It's actually filing the paperwork. It's actually getting things done. So yeah, that's why I am super focused at getting people from here to here. Anyway, let me get back to what we were talking about. Jordan BM83, you have to be in the game to play the game. Amen, brother. Amen. And I'm telling you, when you first walk in that door, they don't know you from Adam. They don't know what you're made of. They don't know anything about that. You have to go to the meetings and to get involved. Show them who you are. Vincent, thanks for always being here to support the show. Woo, need another sip of coffee. Oh, yeah, they done pissed baby girl off. They did. They did. CBS is in trouble in this house. I'm telling you. But yeah, so this is happening. Trump is suing, is filing lawsuits against Rupert Murdoch's, the Wall Street Journal, and Dow Jones. This is the latest. This is what's just happened. This is why Trump getting bounced from with his bullshit Woodward case is so important, because we saw what happened with Paramount. Everybody and their brother is like, why did you settle that case? That was not a loser. You were going to stomp him into a mud hole. But what did they do? They a bullshit settlement. And that is what I'm warning people right now. People are very, very excited. Newest Bill, happy birthday, man. Birthday, and everybody wish Newest Bill a happy birthday. 67 years young today. Remember, Bill, the 60s are the new 40s, brother. The 60s are the new 40s. Look, this is what's going on. This is what's going on with this. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you what's going to exactly happen here. Murdoch is an ally of Trump. Trump is not going to get a multi-billion-dollar, I forget what he's suing for, like $10 billion or something like that. He's not going to get that payday. He is not. But what is going to happen is exactly what Trump needs and wants. They're going to do what Paramount did. They're going to come up with this bullshit. For them, for us, it's a lot of money. And for the stupids and the MAGA morons, it's going to sound like a lot of money. So it's going to sound like a big win. But to Rupert Murdoch, it's a few $1 million is nothing. So they're going to come up with a settlement just to move on. And that settlement's going to involve Rupert Murdoch donating to a charity or something, along those lines. There's going to be a tax write-off for Murdoch. So he's not actually losing anything here by doing this. But what's the story in MAGA land? Oh, yeah, it was all fake. Trump won. Woo! Trump won. They're lying. Russia, Russia, Russia. That is the play here, folks. That is the play here. Wall Street Journal runs a story that is actual news for a change. So the Wall Street Journal gets all of these props for being this great journalistic outfit. But in the end, they settle a lawsuit with Trump, and Trump claims victory and claims it was all faked. I will bet you this hat, that is how this plays out. And Trump gets exactly what he needs from MAGA. Because this has done a lot of damage to him with his base. You've got grown ass men calling into right-wing podcast crying, literally crying. They're so upset about this. So yeah, folks, stop being excited. I'm seeing people saying, I can't believe me and Rupert Murdoch are on the same side of something. Well, you're not. You're not. You're absolutely not. Rupert Murdoch takes care of Trump. He will continue to take care of Trump. Trump is not going to hit Rupert Murdoch for the billions of dollars, and it's not going to happen. It is just not going to happen. This will end up being, like I said, Rupert Murdoch will take a few $1 million and put it into a charity and write those off on his taxes, which he was going to do anyways. He was going to find some place to stick that money to write off on his taxes. He was. I will bet you this hat, that is exactly how it plays out. But Woodward and Simon and Schuster just showed, they shined a light on it. You don't have to settle these cases. They're bullshit. Trump loses. If you take it to the end, Trump loses because he just pulls shit out of his butt. He's got no case against Murdoch. It's a waste of the court's time. He should get sanctioned for this. But anyways, there is more going on in the world than just the lawsuits. Dick Durbin and the Democrats have come out punching. This gives you a preview of what you're looking at. Should Democrats win in the midterms? Should we give them real power in the midterms? Dick Durbin has come out a swinging. He has. He has come out swinging. Oh, Dick Durbin has sent a letter to Pam Bondi. Turns out, Pam Bondi that says, oh, there were no files. Look, folks, there was an investigation going on. And this is what drives me freaking nuts. They're like, what are the Democrats doing? There was an investigation into Epstein all during the Biden administration. There was. This investigative material didn't just pop up in the last few months. No, this has been ongoing. The moment Trump took office, he went to the FBI, he put his stooges in it, Bongino and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, and put these people in and said, he told those FBI agents, you go through all that investigative material and you flag everywhere Trump's mentioned. And we want to know about it. And they did it. They did it. Their boss said do it, so they did it. So yeah, Pam Bondi just created 1,000 witnesses. And Dick Durbin put a shot across Pam Bondi's bow to let her know what it's going to look like after Democrats take power again in the midterms. They will be questioning every one of all 1,000 of these agents. They will be questioning every single one of them. They will be holding hearings. They will be bringing this to light. The fact that when Trump took office, he was so freaked out about what was in these investigations that he cut his attorney general loose and told them, you go find everywhere I'm mentioned. When they saw the results of this, that got us the stupidity of trying to spike the Epstein story altogether. They were so panicked. Instead of just and letting it go, because there was nobody demanding out of Trump anything. MAGA would have gone on repeating what they were programmed to say about Epstein. No one asked for this. There were no Democrats out there saying, we need to have a conclusion to that. No, they're not in power. They cannot get that. They know they're not going to get that. So they're not going to set themselves up for another loss. This was an unforced error on their part because they were so goddamn panicked about what they saw. When those agents flagged how many times Trump appeared in that investigative material. And it's not just Trump. It is not just Trump. Someone pulled up the old, back when Joanne Reed was still on MSNBC. She did an interview with Melinda Gates. And Melinda Gates was talking about how she was so grossed out. She met Epstein one time. Jordan M83 in Ghislaine Mac. 1 second, please. Don't know why I've got dry mouth today. So yeah, Jordan M83 says in Ghislaine Maxwell's trial, prosecutor said there are 10 unindicted co-conspirators. That is what has them straight up panicked. Absolutely straight up panicked. You know, you've got people like Melinda Gates that's saying, yeah, I hated that Bill Gates had a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. This guy was gross. I met him once and I had nightmares about it. She said, I can absolutely, these were her words, I can absolutely believe everything every one of these women said to be true just by the way he acted. The one time I met him. And that's Melinda fucking Gates. Now I want you to think about what this does. If this comes out, if the American people find out who their oligarchs, their captains of industry, it's not just Trump, folks. It's not. They are protecting the Fortune 500 is what they're doing. Ron Slater, thanks, GG3P. Thanks for the support, man. I really appreciate you. It's a big fucking deal, to quote Joe Biden. It just is. These are the people that these are the biggest of the bigs. And if you release this information, their companies pay for it. You know, we had this kiss cam thing that everybody's freaking out about, this kiss cam thing. Not freaking out, I guess excited about or whatever. You saw the CEO of Astronomer there with his head of HR. They were having an affair, got caught on a kiss cam at a Coldplay concert. He resigned. Y'all know that? That CEO has resigned. If that can cause that kind of disruption, for God's sake, imagine what finding out that your founder or your CEO or whatever is in the Epstein fucking files. These companies are terrified. And they have gone all in for Trump, dollar-wise. They have just gone all in for Trump. Remember, Biden let this investigation go. And he never stood in front of the cameras and said, I've got an investigation that's going to just end Republicans and Trump. No, he never saw that out of him because, fuck it, high road. I want our next attorney general to be a damn knife fighter. I do. I want him to spill guts on the bulkhead. No more. The principles tell us that we have to conduct these investigations and not talk about them because, we're just good people and we don't do that. Professional. Fuck professionals, man. I want a knife fight. I want someone to take a goddamn bat and just. I don't want to be clean. I don't want to be clean. I want to be dirty. I want to be down in that ditch. Because, folks, this has a huge, huge implications on everything. Everything. It's not just the Epstein files. It's everything they're doing about everything. I got a few examples here of what I mean here. But before we do, I want to caution you on something. I have said this over and over and over again. AI is shit. I went to do a search today to get an image for you, that image for you that I just showed you of Dick Durbin. And I typed Senate Minority Whip. Enter. And this is what AI said. I'm thinking I'm going to get a picture of Dick Durbin, right? No. This is what, I did find, of course, it did. But the AI portion of it, this is what it came back and said. The current Senate Minority Whip is John Barrasso. He assumed the role on January 3rd, 2025. In the Senate, the Minority Whip is the second-ranking member of the Minority Party, outranked only by the Minority Leader. No. John Barrasso is not the Minority Whip. John Barrasso, on January 3rd, 2025, became the Majority Whip for John Thune. I mean, this is AI, folks. This is what people are relying on for AI, writing their damn college papers and shit like that. But no, I said, what? That's just got to be crazy. So I did the search again. Used a little different verbiage. Then it told me this today. The current Senate Minority Whip is John Thune, Republican, South Dakota. He was elected to the position in 2019. Thune also serves as the Republican whip, according to the U.S. Senate. No. Yeah, he was minority whip back in 2019, but he is the majority leader now. He took Mitch McConnell's job a while back, AI. I mean, folks, come on. Do not rely on AI. It is garbage. It is garbage. Dick Durbin is the Democratic majority or minority whip. He's Chuck Schumer's second in command. He's the guy that whips the votes. And we wonder why the stupids are so stupid. I can't tell you how many times I will do a search for something to get some, background information to prop up for you guys. And AI is so damn wrong about everything. I mean, it's worthless. Do not rely on this AI bullshit. Luminance Skincare 5229. Thank you for being here. So, Paul, after the Democrats get down in the ditch and say it is successful, then what? What's the exit ditch strategy? How will our humanity be restored? That's the thing. That is the thing. That high road of not fighting politically, that was just a loser. It always was a loser. We should never go back to that. Ever. Democrats should fight brutally because the things they do are better for the country. They are. They're just better for the country. They actually give a shit about the people. We'll talk more about this. I've got a couple stories for you. Mr. Pilks, news supporter, thank you for being here. Welcome. If they're in the files, release the names. That's how every Democrat, you want to know how we get back to humanity? That's it right there, because that is every Democrat I know. Every Democratic voter, supporter I know. That exact same sentiment. I do not care if every single representative in the United States government that is a Democrat is in the Epstein files. I would not care. I would want them released. I would want those files released. And that's how so you wonder how we're going to get back to humanity. A democratic government. A government run by the Democratic Party. That's how you get back to humanity. Jordan M83, this is what you get with the broligarchs. Exactly. I was watching one of the famed politicos talk about how this last election was the corporatists versus the broligarchs, and the broligarchs won, and the Democrats are all the corporatists, and bullshit, man. I just see so much bullshit that doesn't comport to reality with them. Are you a corporatist? Are you people corporatists? I'm the closest of our whole community. I'm probably the closest thing to a corporatist here because I'm halfway between the socialists and the corporatists. There's old Paul right here. I'm halfway between the socialists and the corporatists because I know the business of America is business. And our corporations and businesses have to be strong, and we have to be smart about the way we regulate them. So I'm kind of a corporatist there. I don't want to end big oil. I don't want to end anything. I'm not way the hell out here with the activists that are, that just scream the stupidest shit. We need to stop eating meat. Fucking really? Have you ever thought that out? Do you know how many people fucking starve to death if we do that? Because there aren't enough vegetables to feed us? We, again, eat between 1 and 1.2 billion pounds of food a day. Per day. There isn't enough vegetable protein out there to feed us. But you will have people over here, which is why I'm not over here, saying, everybody stop eating meat. It's terrible. It's fucking stupid, man. Stupid. Democrats need to know the fight is never over. You're right. It is never over. Never. Never. That's the part that these broligarchs don't understand. Even if they get their wet fever dream, for some dumbass reason, people stay home in the midterms and we don't put the Democrats back in power and we don't get our government back to governing, it ain't over. They're just facing a resistance at that point. And that's ugly. Yeah, I mean, it's not over. Renner Scott 76-31. I don't care how many Dems or reps are on these Epstein files. I don't care if they all go to prison. The majority of the country just wants the files released. We want the truth. Amen. That's every Democrat I know. Republicans now say, "Oh, no, 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 no. We stop talking about it." They're all over social media. Stop talking about it. Stop talking about it. We don't want to talk about that anymore. Charlie Kirk, I trust my Republican leadership in Washington, D.C. Yeah. But yeah, look, it's important, folks, because there are a lot of things that are going on here. Like this. This is just one of them. There's several different directions we go. Let's just talk about this real quick. ICE will get access to Medicaid enrollees' personal information. The immigration agency will use Medicaid data to identify and locate people it believes are in the country unlawfully. Okay. Let's look at that. This is a federal law enforcement agency. They deal with federal crimes. Federally, undocumented immigrants don't have access to Medicaid or Medicaid dollars. There is no possible predicate in place for there to be a crime involved in this, for ICE to be investigating. Nothing. So what are they doing? What is this really about? This is what it's about. These states, remember, Medicaid is actually implemented by the states. It's Big Daddy, Uncle Sam that chips in matching funds, but the program is run by the states. You follow me? That is a severe distinction that needs to be recognized that the dumbasses in MAGA will not understand. Medicaid is run by the states. Big Daddy federal government writes matching checks to some Medicaid expenditures. Not all, some. This is why my governor refused Medicaid expansion. Because if they expanded Medicaid, the shit the state pays for would have also expanded. So rather than taking all those billions of dollars that could have actually helped Texans over a much smaller amount that they wanted to be able to control and deny, a fraction, they did not want the state to incur those expenditures. And what are those expenditures? This. There are 14 states that currently, through their state, not the federal government, no matching dollars, their state will extend some health coverage to an illegal immigrant. And the way it's done is if an illegal immigrant shows up to the hospital is obligated to not let them die. They must stabilize you. It's the law. They can't just say, non-citizen, kick him out on the curb, go die out there, push him farther away so the body doesn't stink. They can't do that. So these hospitals incur expenses. And in these states, those states will pay the hospitals fees. But you cannot take those to the federal government and say, pay me. Those are done at the state level. But because the state does get reimbursement for other expenses for people that are here legally, for people that are in the system legally, for citizens, for you and me and grandma and everybody else, the state must hand this reporting over to the government. So the federal government knows where these states have paid for health care for illegal immigrants using their state, not federal, state Medicaid system. What's the point of this? Is it for them to go after undocumented immigrants? No. No, they're not going to get enough out of this for it to be a useful law enforcement tool. That's about the midterms. They're going to come up with some number that looks really, really freaking big to your average MAGA voter that makes, $11 an hour max. And they're going to show them a 7, 8, 9-figure number, 7 or 8-figure number, pardon me. And they're going to say, look, this is where, see, them Democrats, they take all your tax money and they give it to them. Now, your grandma lost her Medicaid. Your grandma got kicked out of her old folks' home. Look at that. But they just want to give it to them immigrants. Look at all what they spent on them immigrants. If they didn't spend it on them immigrants, grandma would still be in her health and still be in her home, being taken care of by Medicaid. But they spent this fractional small amount of money over here. So they took grandma's money away over here so that Johnny Gotrocks and the Broligarchs could get their tax cuts. But those dumbasses will not put together the fact that it was the same sons of bitches telling them this bullshit that took grandma's Medicaid away, that was paying for her old folks' home. E.T., thank you for being here. Be careful when you feed the mob and the crazy, because it is never satisfied. You will more likely than not get eaten by them. Can't control crazy. This is, E.T., this is a great point. This is good pause point right here. This is something I talked about before. What I was scared of after the election. And y'all may remember long term, I said the backlash. I'm scared of the backlash. I'm not scared of what these incompetent bastards do. We can fight this. Yeah, it's going to be ugly. Yeah, they're going to do nasty shit. I'm more scared of the backlash. Because what ET is talking about, once the mob gets rolling, you can't stop it. There are no brakes on that. And they tend to not have a lot of reason and thought out planning. And that pendulum swings so damn far, it can break the whole clock. I'm telling you, that is what I'm afraid of, is the backlash. So yeah, I mean, it's things like this, folks, why it's important, why this stuff is important. So you folks saying, that are legitimately out there afraid, they're not going to let us vote, there isn't going to be a midterms. Oh yeah, they are. They're planning this for the midterms. They're going to get that state Medicaid data, and they're going to put a narrative out there. They're going to find a number. It's going to be a big number compared to what you make and what I make. It's going to be a drop in the bucket for what we actually spend on Medicaid, but it will be a big number to you or me. And they're going to say, look at this. If this didn't exist, you wouldn't have lost all yours. Them brown people done took your cookies. That's what they're going to do, folks. That's what they're going to do. And the bigotry, there are so many people out there that are just bigots. They want to be told that. They want to hear that. Because they don't want to hear The same people you've been worshiping and supporting, and this company supports Republicans, this, that, and that. Well, they just got a massive tax cut, and that's where your Medicaid money really went. That's who took your shit. They don't want to hear that, because then they're wrong. Then they're responsible. Then they did it to themselves. And they don't want to hear that. They want to hear brown people did this to me. Brown people did this to me. And that's what that's all about, folks. It has nothing to do with law enforcement, has nothing to do with immigration enforcement, none of it. It is virtually useless. Virtually useless. Mr. Will 73. Hey, Paul, listening while working. We need to get back to common sense politics. No ending nothing except billionaires to control. You push for policies that will make the 99% lives better. You win when you hit harder. Yes, I agree. I agree with everything you just said, brother. Need it all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Here in Denmark, we talk about not eating so much meat, but people think we should stop eating it completely. It's not the same. Eating less meat is different from stopping. Yeah, there is common sense. I mean, old Texas Paul could probably use with eating a little less meat and eating a few more salads. If you haven't been able to tell, I'm fat, and that's not a good thing. You know, I mean, yeah, there's common sense, but then there's the extremism that makes no sense. We have to stop using oil today. Oh, really? Well, you've just shut down every industry known to man, because there's nothing anywhere that doesn't have a finish on it or use some product from, something, some byproduct from oil in their manufacturing process. Cecile Kazemi, that's exactly the crap Stephen Miller was spewing the other day. Yep. I'm telling you. I am telling you. Mark my words for it. Silly Bebo. That, along with flipping gerrymandering to spork us even more while lying to their gullible lemmings. Yes, there will be an election. Yes, they will cheat. Yes, they will create these bullshit narratives. What is the answer? Stay focused. Get involved. All right. I got a major story for you coming out of Gaza today. Before we get there, I want to talk about two more things. Talking about the Epstein stuff. Like I said, one of my goals here is to get you to supercharge your social media so that you can get good information from people that I think that talk sense. More often than not, the stuff that you're getting from them is good stuff, square deal. One of those people that I really like is Brian Tyler Cohen. And he makes a fantastic point here. I was talking about this whole grand jury thing, the Epstein grand jury thing, that it was bullshit, that there is no evidence there. There is no list to come out of the grand jury information, because that's not what you present to a grand jury. It's just not. The only thing they present to a grand jury is what they need to boot an investigation. They're not going to lay out all their evidence in all the different directions that the investigation is going. They don't have to. They don't need to. It would just blur the eyes over of the people sitting on the grand jury. They're very focused. So that grand jury testimony is going to be meaningless when it comes to actually exposing these pedophile bastards, because they're not there. They're not listed there. All that you're going to hear about in this grand jury testimony is Epstein and Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell. I can't say Ghislaine today. I can't do it. I don't know why. That's all you're going to hear. But Brian Tyler Cohen just raised an outstanding point. A reminder that Bondi, let me read this to you. A reminder that Bondi already has access to all the Epstein files, but is pretending that she needs to go through the laborious process of unsealing grand jury testimonies. It's all political theater to fool the rubes and her base into thinking she's doing something. She's just covering for Trump. And I'm going to go a step further here. This is 2 weeks. This is Trump's 2 weeks. You know, we were going to get infrastructure in 2 weeks. We were going to get a healthcare bill in 2 weeks. We were going to get, because he knows if they just don't talk about it, you know, the original thing I was telling them politically, I was saying politically, they should have done was just shut their mouths. You know, I'm not on their side. I'm just saying from a political point of view, they should have just shut up. That's what they're trying to do now. That's what this whole grand jury thing is 2 weeks. Oh yeah, we're going to do this in 2 weeks. Here's the worst part of this and why this all matters so much. Helen of Scotland, thank you for being here. Love our international audience. Love it. You people bring, points of view and information into the chat. And folks, if you're watching this on replay, you've got to hit this button up here and get the live chat flowing. It says panel. They call it the panel. Get it up and running. You want to see what these people are saying. You do. And while you're at it, hit the thumbs up button and the subscribe button. We need to get out to as many people as we possibly can. Frank Stoller, 1575. Thank you for supporting the show. But yeah, it's not only is it the 2 weeks thing again, where he just delays it so it falls out of the news cycle and the news cycle finds something else. And once it's dead and cold in the news cycle, getting the corporate media to go back to it is like ripping teeth. It's just out of their heads. It's just almost impossible. And he knows this. I'm going to pause for a second. Every once in a while, somebody makes a comment that just takes us onto a turn. I'm going to come back to this, what I'm talking about. Don't let me forget it. But this is a thing, right? Jordan BM83, this is that he's talking about. He knows about it. Y'all know this is a thing, right? Our $5,000 Doge checks will be sent in 2 weeks. This is a thing in MAGA. They think they're getting a check from Doge. Yeah. They think money is coming to them because of Doge. They really believe it. I mean, that is a thing. It really is, folks. This is one of the things when I tell you that spending time with you recharges my battery, y'all save me because I have to be face first into this bullshit social media, fucking stupidity and ugliness that is MAGA. Yeah. It's all over their social media. They think they're getting paid from Doge. Thank you, people, for being you. I can't thank you enough. Thank you for being you. Kate Marylight, loose lips sink ship. Those who forgot the past are condemned to relive it. Yep. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. Jackie Reynolds, 9952. Off topic, but did the dim donkey on your cups get named yet? I've got several names that I am looking at. I've got to put something together. There are a lot of variations of blue, and I'm trying to figure out exactly what I want to do with that. Hasn't been a high priority, but no, he hasn't been named yet, but we will get to it. We will get to it. Thank you for the support, by the way. I'm just trying to figure out. There were so many responses that were like really close. So I'm trying to parse out exactly which ways to go. And some of y'all are just foul mouthed. I love it. I love it. Anyways, but no, talking about the last thing I want to say about this whole grand jury thing today, we'll talk more about it in the future, is the damage this does. Grand jury testimony is sealed for a reason. It is. It's sealed for a reason, for several reasons. To unseal grand jury testimony makes people not want to participate, especially when you unseal it for this bullshit, for a political gimmick. People will now know that if you testify, if a president or somebody important wants to make a political point, to try to score some political points, or even to just delay the inevitable, yeah, your private testimony will become public testimony. And they're fucking that entire system for Trump over something he's dead guilty of. And you know, folks, I'm really tired of damaging our institutions for this fat orange bastard. Pam Bondi has no fealty to the law or justice. The fact that she's even doing this is it's enraging. It is just enraging. Colleen Sarah, 8364, they took Andy Jose Hernandez Romero from CCOT and sent him back to Venezuela, where he fled for his safety. There are stories coming out, folks, from those people that have been released from CCOT that will just churn your guts. That was one of the things I thought about talking today. We're going to do that. I want to spend more time on it because there's actually something really fucking awful going on in Gaza that's happening right now. These stories coming out of CCOT, we're just going to get more and more of them. So I'm thinking Wednesday or maybe Friday show, we will talk about some of these stories, and they're gut wrenching. They really are. Alto Eager 2635, paying my late. Hey, I'm glad you're here, brother. Glad you're always here. Foundational member of the show. Heidi Gordon, Superwoman in the house. Victim suppression. Absolutely. Absolutely, Heidi. You understand exactly what this means. You understand that unsealing grand jury testimony, it's a big deal. Really, the only reason you're ever really supposed to do it is if somehow there was a crime committed in the grand jury. James Singleton, 5807, thanks for supporting the show. And now they're just doing it to try to 2 weeks for Trump. You know what I mean by 2 weeks? Everything Trump ever said he was going to do that he was never going to do. Oh, yeah, we're coming up with that. We've got a beautiful, beautiful package, beautiful idea. We're going to unveil it in 2 weeks. And 2 weeks never fucking comes. Rich Lawton, thanks for always being here, brother. Their theater is hurting all our institutions. Exactly. Exactly. Annabelle TV. She was a meter maid for a parking garage. Remember, I am telling you. And this, yeah, never forget, this is where it began. Bondi made Epstein's case go away in Florida for an out and out $35,000 donation. Next thing you know, no Epstein case. But yeah, I mean, that's why I say it's important. There's so many facets, so many directions, but it is so important that we not allow this bullshit to go forward. It is. And look, Brazil. We don't have a problem with Brazil. We don't. The products we buy from Brazil, we need. Brazil doesn't screw us. They don't. But you're about to have 50% tariffs in Brazil on all the stuff. Your grocery bills are going to explode if Trump doesn't back off of Brazil, but he's probably not going to, and here's why. It's never about the actual trade. It's never about the actual policies. It's always about Trump. And this is Lula, president of Brazil, the other day on CNN. He's talking about Bolsonaro. You remember Trump is freaking out about the fact that they're actually going to convict and jail Bolsonaro. Trump is terrified of being held to account. This is Lula talking about that and Trump.
We participated in 5 elections, and never before in this country someone would raise this issue to try to say or try to coup d'etat attempt like Bolsonaro did. No, he's not judged personally. He is being judged by the acts. He tried to organize a coup d'etat. He threatened secretly the death. He planned the death of Vice President, myself, and the Chief Justice. He could be on trial just for that. And the Attorney General denounced yesterday he will be convicted, and I believe in that. Christian, I'd like to say something to the American people. If Trump was Brazilian, and if he did what was happening at the Capitol Hill, he'd also be on trial in Brazil, and possibly, and he would have violated the Constitution. According to the justices, he could also be arrested if he had done that here in Brazil.
So I want to ask you.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, this is always about Trump. I mean, Trump is in full freakout mode about what's going on in Brazil. He's had, Steve Bannon and those troops have been operating in Brazil. They were working with Bolsonaro when he tried his coup. Trump is terrified of ever being held to account. And there you have Lula down in Brazil just calling him out. Yeah, we're going to have huge tariffs on our meat prices are going to explode because Trump is butthurt about the fact that somebody called him out and said he should have gone to jail for January 6th. Skeet Sayre, I say this every time, but how can we trust the results of 2004 if Bondi made the decision she is the most evil of the rest of them and the rest of them are buffoons? I don't trust anything that comes out of Bondi. But I am laser focused on the midterms. I'm laser focused on getting it done. I'm laser focused on getting Democrats back in power so that we can have hearings, so that we can call those 1,000 FBI agents up. Right now, Republicans can block it. Republicans can stop all of that from happening, and they will. They will. They've already done it. They've already voted against releasing the Epstein investigative information out there. I mean, from it getting out there. If you want actual oversight, you have to elect Democrats. Omniscient Sphinx. I would love to see a 1K check, but I still remember how Democratic had to drag Republicans through the mud just for that. The joke is a mug. I know you meant something a little bit more eloquent out of that. I get the point where you're going. Yeah, everybody would love to see money, but man, it ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. Silly Bebo, Trump tainted the world. Trump tainted the word beautiful. Yeah, everything's beautiful. I remember him talking about Mar-a-Lago and his beautiful chocolate cake. Mark Sibley, 4546. He has to be held accountable. Keep fighting. The midterms are a big deal. Let's go. Yeah, we need to stop the bullshit. We do. We need to stop the bullshit about, people attacking Democrats and this, that, and the other. Folks, they can't do shit right now. They're the minority party. All they can do is send strongly worded letters and let us know what they're going to do when they have power. And that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. And it does have effect, folks, because if you think Pam Bondi doesn't piss her pants thinking about having to sit before Congress and answer questions, I assure you she is. She is terrified of those subpoenas. When the Democrats get power, we're going to end up with people going back to court for violating subpoenas. We're going to end up with people, they're going to resign. They're going to be like rats jumping off a burning ship. They're not going to want to be held to account. Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. They're not going to want to answer questions about their travel and shit like that. No, they're not. They're not. You want to end this bullshit? You put Democrats back in power. But folks, it is more than just the things we're talking about. It's more than the stuff that's on our news. Beacon there, thanks for the support, man. It is. It affects things all over the world. Syria, I've talked about it. Al-Shara, Syria, they're trying very hard to build a stable country in the region. And you've got this. There's two things I want to talk about with Netanyahu today. This is one of them. Israel wants a carve out in southern Syria. They want another Golan Heights in Syria. And that's what they're trying to do with the Druze. They're trying to force the creation of an autonomous region, a carve out that they control in Syria. They attacked the Syrian military when the Syrian military went in to stop this, to stop the fighting between the Druze and the Bedouins. The Druze are taking territory. They just drove the Bedouins out of their territory, one of the Bedouin tribes out of their territory. What did Netanyahu do? He attacked the Syrian military when they came in to break this shit up. And the world shrugged because Netanyahu and his people ran to the media and said, oh, they're attacking the Druze. We had to support them. We had to defend them. Bullshit. It's the Druze that are driving the Bedouins out. And what has this done? Exactly what Netanyahu wants. It's destabilized southern Syria, because what's not talked about, and this is the BBC, folks, and the BBC is normally really good. And I love the fact that they actually kind of question what Netanyahu says here. They don't state it as fact. They state it as it's Israel is saying. But what is actually happening here is that you have those Bedouin tribes that are being attacked by the Druze and driven out of their home city aren't just taking it. No, they form alliances with other tribes. And now this fighting is expanding all across southern Syria. Because Netanyahu wants another carve out like the Golan Heights, but he wants it in southern Syria. This is not Israel. This is not his to take or dictate anything about. Causing more war, more death. Netanyahu has to go. But he's done something actually far worse than that. Warbin 3, hey, I'm doing everything I can to get them Democrats off the high road. They think they need to stay on that high road so that you have a dream of what can be. They really believe that. They really do. I mean, it's not incompetence. It's not, they don't want to fight. They don't want to, that's not what it is. Look, I talk to these people. I'll be going to DC again here in a few weeks. I talk to these people, and I can tell you what they believe is that they must keep this dream alive, that there's that to go back to. They think you need that. Because, like the absolutely fantastic question that was asked just a little bit ago, well, how do we get back to humanity if the Democrats are fighting? The Democrats are humanity. And that's where I'm fighting. That's the message I keep bringing is We don't need you to fight clean to have a dream. We need you to fight dirty so that you can implement your policies that are real. People understand that. People understand that. Great comments, by the way. Both sides, great comments. Okay, this just happened. And this is why this is massive. This is a huge, huge deal. Israel issues new evacuation orders in crowded central city. This is Deir al-Balah. You got to go to the map. You got to understand this is one of those things it is complex, but it is crucial, and it will be the fire that sets off the explosions coming in the future. This is massive. This isn't just. Let me explain. Let me give you all of the background information and explain. George Allen here. Thanks for all you do. No, thank you for being here. Jordan B. M83. Forget the dream. Fight for real goals. Yeah, let's do it. Let's make it happen. One second. I want to talk to you about the Abu Samra family and Deir al-Balah. Y'all remember the coverage that I had right after October 7th. I said, look, Israel's going to go in there and they're going to fucking decimate Hamas. They are. They're going to just destroy them. This is not a kick and ass contest on parity at all. What I or nobody else envisioned was what they actually ended up doing in Gaza. We thought that there was likely going to be strikes, that they were going to decapitate Hamas's leadership, that they were going to. No one saw the pure evil that was going to happen. We knew Netanyahu was capable of it, but we thought the reality of it was no, because Democrats aren't going along with this. We're already cutting off arms shipments. This will be cut off, and then Trump won. We fucked up badly. Israel just decimated Gaza, except a few pockets. Deir al-Balah is relatively untouched. This is Deir al-Balah right here. This is Deir al-Balah. And to give you some idea where it's located, this is Gaza City in the north. Gaza City in the north. This is Rafah in the south and Khan Yunis. This is Deir al-Balah. The reason Deir al-Balah is relatively untouched is it's controlled by the Abu Samra family. And I told you, the way going forward from here, let me pull this down for just a second and we'll come back to it. The way going forward, what I was explaining in October 7th, after October 7th is, yeah, Hamas has to go. They do. They have to go. How do you do that when they've got such integral control in Gaza? I kept saying, look, they don't control everything. There are several powerful families. And if I had my way, and the smart thing to do would be get behind one of those families, pump them up. Let them have power in Gaza. Because they're not all Hamas. They're not all a bunch of fucking terrorists. There are good people there. And the Abu Samra family did not participate in October 7th. There's no evidence to show that the Abu Samra family sanctioned or sent fighters or any of that shit to participate in October 7th. Do they fucking hate Netanyahu? They would kill Netanyahu on sight. They would. Don't get me wrong. These are people that are sick and tired of the shit that the Palestinians have had to put up with. But They're not a bunch of fucking terrorists. They aren't. But they've got power. They're not the richest family in Gaza, but they are arguably the most respected family and clan. They're a clan. They're the most respected clan in Gaza. But they're not limited to Gaza. They're all over the world. Folks, there are people from the Abu Samra family right here in Texas. They're here, they're in New Jersey, they're in New York, they're in Abu Dhabi, they are a big, powerful family. Let me give you just an example. This is one faction of the Abu Samra family that their homes were destroyed. They didn't live in Deir al-Balah. Their family was destroyed. The resourceful people, they started a business. And they're marketing it here on Instagram. But yeah, check this out.
Hello, everyone.
This video is 30 seconds long, but it means a lot to a Palestinian family who were displaced from Gaza after losing everything. The Abu Samra family has created an online store to sell Palestinian clothing, accessories, and embroidery in order to start a new life outside Gaza and cover their expenses. Each piece in their store is not just a product. It is a story, a dream, and a hope for a family striving to build a better future. You can buy high-quality products with historical designs and a modern touch, helping this family secure their needs and live with dignity. If you can't make a purchase, you can support them in other ways. Help spread their story by sharing this video, commenting on it, or following their page. Every small
Sorry, I'm muted. I know I'm muted. I know I was muted. I'm sorry. I was slurping coffee during the video. Didn't want you to hear slurping. I'm sorry. Okay. So you get the idea, right? This is a powerful family. Okay. They are. They're international. This is just one small subset of the Al Samra family. They've moved. They're starting a business. I mean, they're resourceful people. These are not terrorists, folks. They're not. They are not Hamas, but they are not to be fucked with in Gaza. They are not. This happened. Prominent Gaza family execute Hamas gunman who killed one of their relatives. This is a shitty story about what actually happened. If you go to the BBC or The Guardian or Al Jazeera or foreign press and get out of this tabloid New York Post shit, what actually happened is, you understand, Hamas is the government in Gaza. They have policemen. They take aid shipments and they control who gets it and what. They saw a member of the Abu Samra family in line to get flour. And they told him, get out of line. None of this is for you. He said, no, you can't make me. And that cop shot him and killed him. The Abu Samra family has so much power. They were able to go into Hamas's territory, take that cop, and execute him. That's the kind of power this family wields in Gaza. They are not to be fucked with. So, Deir al-Balah is their territory. That is their home territory. Let's just speak again. Let's look at this. Gaza city is controlled by factions loyal to Hamas. Here you have Deir al-Balah, which is, this central section has been relatively untouched by bombing and relatively untouched by troop movements. The Israeli army has never rolled through Deir al-Balah. And then you've got Khan Yunis, which has famously made the news. And of course, Rafah. which, the destruction is, I liken it to Dresden or the London bombings. I mean, it's awful. The palm trees are still standing. The beaches are still beautiful. Even Netanyahu knew, don't fuck with these people. They're not our enemy. Don't fuck with them. Well, with the chaos, see, remember they killed Yahya Sinwar. Before I get to that, let me get rid of this map once and for all. What they've said in the evacuation notice, and this is why it's so important. Here's Deir al-Balah. They said everybody from Deir al-Balah has to go down here, all the way down here, to Al-Mawasi. You see Al-Mawasi down here on the coast? They're saying this is the safe zone, Al-Mawasi. So the Abu Samra family is going to have to leave their stronghold where they control the streets. They control all the buildings. They can, this is their safe neighborhood. They have to pack up their shit and go all the way down here to Al-Mawasi, past Khan Yunis, which is controlled by Hamas and clans loyal to Hamas. This is Benjamin Netanyahu using Hamas to destroy the Abu Samra family. Because they are powerful, they are stable, and they are floating to the top in leadership. You remember, after October 7th, I said the way forward for the Palestinians, I want to see a state. You want to see a state. We need a government that is not a fucking terrorist organization that can run this. This is what's happening with the Abu Samra family. Again, they aren't the richest. They aren't the most powerful. This isn't an easy path for them, but they are respected. They keep the peace, and they're not fucking terrorists. So the Palestinian people more and more are getting behind the Abu Samra family and picking them as leadership. Meanwhile, this is what Hamas is trying to do. Why they're losing support on the ground. This is Izz-al-Din al-Haddad. He was basically Sinwar's military commander in Gaza. He's tried to take control of Hamas. He's another fucking terrorist. He is. He has tried to take control of Hamas, but it is completely factionalized. It's actually being run by a committee. He claims to have power over Hamas, but it's being run by a committee. It's Khalid Mashal, Khalil al-Haliyah, and I know I'm killing these names from memory. Zahir Jabaran, Muhammad Ismail Darwish. There's one other. I can't remember his name. There's one other. I can't remember his name. That are actually running Hamas right now as a committee. So Hamas is weak. The Palestinians are moving to the Abu Samra family, which again is not a terrorist organization. They are a business family, and they are a clan in Gaza. They control their territory. So much so that when a Hamas police officer executes one of theirs, they can go get that officer in Hamas territory and execute that person. I just can't stress enough. This is the kind of power we're talking about. And they are internet. Again, there are members of the Abu Samra family right here in Texas. If there was going to be leadership that was going to lead to a Palestinian state, it would be someone like the Abu Samra family. Which is what you remember, if you go back and look at my coverage after October 7th, that is exactly what I said needed to happen for the Palestinians to get their own state, for there to be actual peace. Well, Netanyahu can't have that. He can't have that. So what's he doing? He's helping Hamas. He's helping Hamas. Netanyahu is helping Hamas. He's going to force the Abu Samra family out of their neighborhood in the name of looking for hostages. He's going to bomb the fuck out of their neighborhood. He's going to turn it to rubble, and he's going to force these people out of the territory they control into territory of clans that support Hamas in areas that they do not have the influence. They don't know the streets the way that they do in their home territory. He's going to get these people fucking massacred. Is his goal. He is trying to end the Abu Samra family because they are rising up. Like Ahmed al-Shara has risen up in Syria and said, no, we're going to have peace. We're going to be a peaceful nation, a successful nation. Netanyahu's like, fuck that noise. We can't have that. I got to have an enemy. They've got to be unstable. If I don't have an enemy and they're not unstable, I lose power and then I go to prison. Folks, you know me. There are good people in Israel that are not Netanyahu. There are good people in Gaza among the Palestinians that are good people, and they are not terrorists. That's the Abu Samra family, and there are other families like it, but none that have their clout. This is Netanyahu shooting his shot. He is trying to end the dream of a Palestinian state right here, right now. And we got no corporate media that's talking about this, these political dynamics, what's on the ground, what is really happening. They're so busy sucking up to Trump. Folks, we have to return Democrats to power. We have to return Democrats to power. And I will tell you, Al-Mawasi is not a safe zone. It is not. Israel, as soon as people, if the Abu Samra family does manage to actually move into this territory, they will take it if they can. They will take control of Al-Mawasi if they can. They're not just going to willingly die and get slaughtered. If they do, Israel will bomb them. This just can't be allowed to happen. This just can't be allowed to happen. No one's talking about this, folks. It's just us. It's just us. And this is why I say, I'm not the power here. I can talk to you. There's over 3,000 people live here. Another 30,000 people are going to watch this because it's 2 hours. It's a lot to ask anybody to sit down and watch. It's a couple hours out of your day. Not everybody has that. But you folks can take this information and you can run with it. I'm about to put a call out on all my social media platforms looking for representatives from the Al-Samra family to come on the show. But yeah, this is the kind of thing that I've been talking about. This is way more complex. Not everybody in Gaza is a good guy. Not every Palestinian is a good guy. And damn sure they're not all bad guys. Not everybody in Israel is Netanyahu and a fucking war criminal. But damn sure some of the people in Israel are. It's complex. It's not fucking easy. I get attacked on both sides because I won't be a simple extremist in either direction. Because I live in reality. I have to. But yeah, folks, it's important. We can't have these imbeciles running our country. Tiger Forever, one and only, thank you for being here. New supporter, thank you for the support. I really appreciate you. I really do. We can't have these imbeciles, little Marco, who just repeats everything Netanyahu says. He does. What's going on in southern Syria? We're supporting it. Little Marco is repeating every talking point that Netanyahu puts out. Dave Mon, 1957. Thanks for supporting the show. I appreciate you. Folks, we got to do it. We got to do the unsexy stuff. It can't just be the rage. We got to do the work. You know, Saturday night, folks, I wanted to be home cuddling with Mrs. Texas Paul. That's what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do with my Saturday night. By the way, Joan, thank you for the sourdough starter. I appreciate it. I do. That was very nice of you. But 100 pounds of bread flour later, I'm 25 pounds heavier. Thank you very much. Don't you didn't make me fat. I'm very grateful for the sourdough you sent in the cookbook. It is Mrs. Texas Paul's new passion. And where I'm going with that is that's what I want to do with my Saturday night. My house smells like a bakery, people. I wanted to be here. I wanted to be here. But no, I was out at a dinner, meeting with county chairs and precinct chairs and candidates. I was meeting with Dax Alexander. Dax Alexander is running to try to secure the nomination of the Democratic Party nomination to run it against Nathaniel Moran right here in District 1. We were sitting down and talking. I'm trying to build trust with Dax so that he'll take some of my advice. Because Dax, let me tell you something. Dax is fucking sharp. He is smart. He speaks well. He's tall. He's got a foot on me. He's tall. He's going to be a great candidate. And Dax has this beautiful long hair. And at some point, I got to build enough trust with Dax to be able to tell him, Dax, cut your hair, dude. You got to cut your hair. He's got this beautiful long hair. And it's like, Dax, dude, this is Hillbillyville. You're running here. You're everything I want in a candidate. You're young. You're up on events. You're smart. You're a great speaker. He's a good guy. He's a great guy. He really is. And at some point, I got to build enough trust up with him that I can actually broach that. Well, I guess I just did because Dax watches the show. But that's what I'm doing with my time, folks. You can too, and you've got to. You've got to do the unsexy stuff. You do. Because stuff like this is going on every single front. And these imbeciles cannot govern. They can't. There's way too much dangerous stuff going on in this world to allow this to continue. Little Marco, come on, man. Come on. Anyways, that's what I've got for you today. I love spending time with you folks. Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate all the support. I cannot do it without you. You know me, I'm not wasteful. I pigeonhole every penny away I don't spend to save it for another project later. I am really working on what I call the AI project, the Armada Initiative, getting local Democratic counties. And I want to set this up as a blueprint, and I want to do this nationwide because this is the same in every damn state, blue or red. You have big party apparatus in big cities, and they are surrounded by rural counties that don't have that. And that's where the Republican poison flourishes. We do well where our county parties are flush and have people and volunteers, and you people are there to volunteer and get things done. Where the Republican poison flourishes is out in those rural counties. And rather than try to invent the wheel with every single county. I want to take and I want to get all of these counties sailing together as an armada, all our ships sailing in the same direction, cooperating with each other, overlapping infrastructures, and making this work. There are challenges to it. There are legal regulations and what there are challenges to it, but this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. I want you folks out there to do what you can because you are the smart ones in the room. You're the big picture people. Let's face it, there's a lot of people out there that aren't bad people, but they just don't have it up here to sit and have the conversation that we just had about Gaza. That there are about 5 different families in Gaza that are powerful for different reasons. And, you know, they don't have it. They can't. They've got lives. Sometimes it's not that they cognitively can't. It's just shit is happening in their lives. We have to. We got to do the work. So yeah, put it out there. Let's do it. Let's do the work. Get involved with your local Democratic Party. Put this information, share this shit out on your social media. Let's do this. Let's bring people in. I love you folks. Hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button, and enjoy some Texas cities at night.